Hello guys, today we're going to answer together exam October 2015 paper 1 and paper 2. You will find here in this video paper 1 and paper 2, so let's start with paper 1, question 1. Here this diagram show us a router cell. He wants you here to write the name of the label part here. Let's start with letter A. Here it is pointing to the first wall. Why? Because it didn't reach the second one. So here we should write cell wall. The second one, letter B, it is cell membrane because he's pointing to the second wall. Question B, here he wants you to tell why there's a plant cell, not an animal cell. It means that you should write here feature or structure exists in the plant cell and it is not found in the animal cell. Here you can write for me cell wall or large vacuole. Question C, which structure usually found in plant cell but is missing from the router cell? Means that you will not find it in the router cell. It is chloroplast. Why? Because chloroplast is needed for only photosynthesis and the root will never ever carry out photosynthesis. Question D, write down one function of the router cell. You should write it is responsible for absorbing water and minerals or absorb water and the dissolved mineral salts from the soil. Let's move to next question. Question 4. Here we have different plants. They show some variation. Guys, let's revise quickly what is meant by variation. Variation is the difference between the same species or the differences between the same species. Okay, let's read question A. I want you to describe two ways in which the plants show variation. Here he wants you to write the differences between the plants. Let's talk about number 1. You can mention size of leaves, number of leaves, the length of root or the thickness of stem. Again, I'm going to repeat. Look at the diagram and write down the differences. So number 1, it can be the size of leaves, number of leaves, the length of root, the thickness of stem. Let's move to question B. Which of following process involved in the sexual reproduction? I need 2 boxes. It will be pollination and fertilization. Let's guys revise quickly what is meant by pollination is the movement or transferring of pollen from anther to stigma. What is meant by fertilization? The joining or the fusion between the pollen and ova. Please guys, here if he asked you about fertilization, don't write for me when the pollen and ova mix together. No, it is not accepted. And here in the definition of pollination, please write a clear language. Next question. Here this question, he's talking about puberty or adolescence. He wants you to write one visible change take place during adolescence or puberty. It can be the growth of hair. Here he wants you to write 2 functions about the ovaries. Number 1, produce egg or ova. Number 2, produce hormones. Or you can write for me responsible for menstruation or responsible for ovulation. Both are accepted. Question C. In the menstrual cycle, the uterus produces thick inner lining. Why do you think the lining or the thick inner lining is very important here? Number 1, because it will be prepared for receiving the fertilized egg to be implanted in the lining of the uterus. And here, guys, you have to refer to the fertilized egg. What happened to the lining of the uterus if the egg is not fertilized anymore? What will happen? It will released as a period, or the menstruation will happen, or the blood will be out of the vagina. Or you can mention that the lining of the uterus will shed or break down. Next question. Question 10. Here, this diagram shows the muscles and bones. Let's revise quickly. These 2 muscles are called antagonistic muscles. What is meant by antagonistic muscle? 2 muscles working in pair but in opposite direction. When one contracts, the other will relax. Guys, here you have to know that the movement will happen by the help of 2 systems, muscular system and skeletal system. Here, he's pointing to this joint. And he wrote here, this is the hinge joint. Let's revise quickly the types of joint. Of course, as you know, we have two types of joints, movable joints and immovable joints. The movable joint, the joints that can move. Immovable joints, the joints that cannot move. The joints that cannot move, we call it fixed joint like the skull. The movable joint, it can move but in different directions. The joints that can move in one direction only, we call it hinge joint. The joints that can move in more than one direction, we call it ball and socket. The hinge joint, like the elbow and knee, they can only move backward and forward. This is only one direction, but the joints that can move in more than one direction, we call it ball and socket, like the shoulder and hip joint. So here, describe the kind of movement we can say can move in only one direction. Question B. He said here that the skeleton help us to move. Write down one other function. Here we should write support or protection or protect vital organs. Now we finished the questions in paper 1. Let's complete paper 2. Let's start with question 1. He shows us more than one food chain overlapped together. We say this is food web. Which organisms are producers? The producers here, the living organisms that can make their own food, like the cactus and saga bush. Question B, he wants 3 predators of lizards. What is meant by 3 predators of lizards? It means the living organisms that feed on lizards. From the previous food web, the lizard is here. What are the organisms that feed on lizard? Snakes, scorpion, and hawk. That's complete. Number C, here he said a disease decreased the number of kit foxes. It means that the number of kit foxes decreased. What will happen to the population of snakes? What will happen to the number of snakes? Here, look at the food web. When the kit foxes will decrease, what will happen to the population of snakes? The population of snakes will increase. Why? What is your explanation? Because there are fewer foxes to eat them, or the number of predators decreased. Next question. Question D. Here he wants you to draw food chain from the food web contain only 5 trophic levels, only 5 living organisms. Number 1, it can be cactus eaten by insect, eaten by lizard, eaten by scorpion, eaten by hawk. And guys, during drawing the food chain or writing the food chain, please make sure that you should draw the arrows. The other one, it can be cactus eaten by insect, eaten by lizard, eaten by snake, eaten by fox. The number of the living organisms in the food chain should be 5. Next question. Question 4. Here, this investigation about the relation between the distance or the amount of light or the light intensity and the rate of photosynthesis. Of course, as you know, when the light intensity increases, the rate of photosynthesis will increase. So here he's changing the distance between the water plant and the light source. What will happen when the distance decreases? It means that the lamp will be very near to the water plant. It means the rate of photosynthesis will be very high. So as you can see here, when the distance decreased, the rate of photosynthesis increased. This is the number of bubbles of gas in 1 minute. It means the oxygen gas that produced, and that is an evidence that the plant carried out photosynthesis process. So read the information well, then draw a line graph and join the points together. Number 1, I want you to plot the points first, then draw a smooth curved line. Okay. In the drawing here, guys, you should exclude the point that is not fit in the pattern. The points that is not fit in the pattern, don't draw it in your line. Question B. According to the previous table, guys, read it well, please. Here you can find that there is a result may be wrong or does not fit in the pattern. This result the distance, in the distance, it should be 25. Your explanation because it doesn't fatten the button. Here this for 1 mark, the explanation also for 1 mark. Question C, complete a conclusion. What did you understand from the investigation? As the water plant is moved away, it means that the distance increased. What will happen to the rate of photosynthesis? Again, when the water plant is moved away, the amount of light on it decreased or reduced, or it will be dimmer. This makes the rate of photosynthesis decrease or reduce, or it will be slower. Let's move to next question, question 7. This question about selective breeding. The breeding is happening here between the brown female and black female. Of course, as you can see, the offsprings contain black ones and brown ones. Name the type of cell that passes the information for the brown fur. The brown fur, as you can see here, the brown fur from the female. So the cell that passes this information, it should be egg or ova or female sex cell. Mike wants to breed lots of brown mice. Suggest what he should do to obtain only brown mice. What can he do? Use brown male or breeding the brown with the same color. Give reason for your answer here to inherit the brown color only. Next one, question 10 and the last question in paper 2. Guys, complete the sentence according to the information here that you have. The flies pick up pollen produced by the anther and carry to the stigma. This is the definition of pollination. Now we finished all the biology section here in this exam. See you guys in the next video.